Hi, my name is Sarah Partee, and I decided to do 1.3, the compare and contrast, and I'm comparing gender and exceptionalities. Gender. We can easily distinguish males and females by their physical appearance. There are major differences in hormonal levels of estrogen and testosterone, which control the physical development of the two sexes. Girls and boys are similar in terms of physical development through early years of elementary school. The onset of puberty brings major changes in the hormonal levels of the two sexes. Research shows that the environment makes a huge impact on our behaviors. At one time, people thought men had more intelligence than women due to larger brain size. Today, we know that brain size is related to body size, not to intelligence. The media has an influence on perception of gender roles. By high school graduation, a child will have spent more hours in front of a television than in a classroom, which is really, really sad. Educators usually continue the socialization patterns initiated by parents that reinforce the stereotypes behaviors associated with males and females. The attitudes and behaviors are embedded in the curriculum of schools. Gender continued. Playgroups are often determined by the sex of children, especially in elementary and upper grades. Even when the girls and boys play the same game, they often play it differently, with boys being more aggressive. Not all boys and girls follow the socially acceptable ways of their gender, and if they don't, then a lot of times they're criticized or made fun of, bullied. Critics of elementary classrooms indicate that instruction is designed around the behaviors, interests, and needs of girls to the detriment of boys. Teachers should conscientiously ensure that classroom activities do not favor one group over another. And as a teacher, I always try to make sure that my activities are gender neutral. And sometimes, we might color something pink, but I feel like, sometimes we color stuff blue. So we do things, I don't force things on to be gender specific. Teachers need to pay attention to the leadership in small groups and assign girls to leadership roles as well as boys. They both need to develop leadership skills. Sexism is the belief that males are superior to females. Education is a key to upward mobility and financial security in adulthood. The occupational roles that individuals pursue will influence the ways that they are able to live in the future. All students should be exposed to the contributions of women as well as men throughout history. Exceptionalities. Nearly 57 million individuals in the United States have some type of disability. Exceptional people include individuals with disabilities and gifted individuals. Some, particularly persons with disabilities, have been rejected by society. Exceptional children is an inclusive term that refers to children with learning and or behavior problems, children with physical disabilities or sensory impairments, and children who are intellectually gifted or have a special talent. Gifted and talented are children who have extraordinary abilities in one or more areas. Students with disabilities are labeled as having intellectual disabilities, also described as ID. Continued. Learning disability is one of the more socially acceptable disability conditions. RTI is response to intervention, and it is based on multi-tiered approach to meeting the needs of children. And as teachers, before we refer a child to be tested for special education, we have to do this process. And RTI, as its primary aim, is to provide intervention to students who are not achieving at comparable rates with peers. Individuals with Disability Education Act, also IDEA, includes a transition plan, which is an added requirement to help students with disabilities transition into adulthood. Society has begun to accept its basic responsibilities for people with disabilities by providing for their education and care, but social equality has yet to become a reality. The similarities are female underrepresentation in special education as well as in general education. The gender gap as primary education has come nearer to a closing globally in the past 20 years. The gap remains among the girls from the poorest homes. Some disabilities, just like gender differences, are still rejected by society. Students with disabilities are labeled like gender is labeled and stereotyped. Social equality has yet to become a reality for students with exceptionalities, just like gender equality. Media has an impact on how people view exceptionalities as well as how people view gender. The differences. Exceptional children differ from the norm, either below or above, to such an extent that they require an individualized program of special education and related services to fully benefit from education. Students that do not have exceptionalities are not criticized or judged nearly as much as that students that do. African American males have been overrepresented in classes for students with intellectual disabilities and serious emotional disturbances. Gender and racial bias by students of color being automatically placed in lower academic tracks or in a special education. Both ethnicity and gender are among the most consistent predictors of school identification of intellectual disabilities and serious emotional disturbances. My summary. Teachers need to do their part and be knowledgeable about teaching students with exceptionalities. They need to do their research and have data to back up their decision-making process. A lot of what I have read has made me realize that people and teachers stereotype and they don't give the students what they need. A teacher needs to know what kind of special equipment could be used and what teaching procedures would help the students in her classroom. Many times teachers are given this by a special education teacher, but they don't implement it like they should to make sure that students succeed. And a lot of times gender is also viewed this way too. Teachers treat the students the way that they think that they should be treated, but they don't treat them equally. And this is my bibliography. I use the textbook and a scholarly journal from Google. Thank you.